When I lived there, there was a lot of desolation there. There was a lot of, drug addiction there. There was a lot of prostitution there. It was side by side with the desolation and the possibility. And I think that's what kind of gave me a lot of hunger and grit.
Alicia Keys was the picture of perfection, a superstar, a prodigy, a woman the world thought had it all. But behind the Grammys and the glowing smile was a truth she never dared to reveal. Until now. While her career exploded, she was fighting off predators at her record label, hiding a forbidden affair, and building a perfect persona that slowly crushed her from the inside. In her own words, she spent years wearing a mask, one that nearly destroyed her. What happened to Alicia Keys behind closed doors? Keep watching as you're about to hear the heartbreaking story the world never knew. Alicia Keys entered the world as Alicia Augello Cook on January 25, 1981, in Hell's Kitchen, Manhattan. Her parents, Teresa Augello, a paralegal and part-time actress, and Craig Cook, an African-American flight attendant, separated when she was just 2. From that point on, Alicia was raised solely by her mother in a single-room apartment in Manhattan Plaza, a subsidized housing complex filled with artists, dreamers, and daily struggle. When she was 7, her mother insisted she take piano lessons, hoping music would give her something stable to hold on to in an otherwise chaotic neighborhood. It worked. Alicia's teachers immediately recognized her as a prodigy, a child with rare natural instinct and emotional depth. Music became her refuge. She spent hours at the piano, immersing herself in Beethoven, Chopin, and Mozart, while her mother surrounded her with jazz, soul, and classical music that shaped her earliest influences. By 12, Alicia was writing her own songs, blending classical technique with R&B and soul in a way that felt entirely her own. She attended the Professional Performing Arts School in Manhattan, majoring in vocal music and theater, and graduated at 16 as valedictorian. Around that same time, a manager discovered her and secured her a deal with Columbia Records, making her one of the youngest artists ever signed to a major label. Just out of high school, still only 16, she found herself with a record contract and an acceptance letter from Columbia University. But what should have been a dream turned quickly into a nightmare. Behind the prestigious label deal, Columbia Records would become the place that nearly crushed her spirit and almost ended her career before it even began. When Alicia Keys signed with Columbia Records at just 15 years old in 1994, she thought she had stepped straight into her dream. Columbia was a powerhouse label, full of prestige, money, and influence, the kind of place that could turn a teenager into a global star. But the reality she walked into was far darker than she ever expected. From the moment she arrived, the label tried to reshape her. Executives insisted she straighten her hair, wear short dresses, lose weight, and transform herself into yet another manufactured pop act, indistinguishable from the dozens of young female artists already crowding the industry. They completely misunderstood the very thing that made Alicia unique: her authenticity, her classical training fused with urban soul, her raw emotional honesty, and her refusal to conform. Even more suffocating than the image pressure was the songwriting process. Columbia brought in teams of established writers and producers, brushing aside the material Alicia had written herself. They pushed her to record songs that felt hollow and disconnected from her voice. She later admitted she would drive to the studio with a knot in her chest, dreading the sessions where she felt creatively silenced and artistically dismissed. Years later, she would look back at those days and compare her struggle to that of Aretha Franklin, saying Columbia messed it up, failing to recognize what they had right in front of them. Alicia fought the label on everything: her sound, her image, her creative control. She refused to sing songs she didn't believe in and refused to become the polished, packaged pop star they wanted. The conflict grew until, in 1998, Columbia dropped her. For many artists, that would have been the end. For Alicia, It was the beginning of her freedom. During her difficult years at Columbia, she had quietly built relationships with people who truly understood her artistry. She had worked with producers like Jermaine Dupri and, most importantly, had connected with Clive Davis, the legendary executive recently forced out of Arista and forming a new label, J Records. Davis immediately saw what Columbia had missed: a once-in-a-generation talent who could fuse classical musicianship, poetic lyrics, and emotional depth into a version of R&B no one had ever heard before. In 1998, Alicia signed with J Records, and Clive Davis gave her what she had been denied for years: complete creative freedom. She could write her own music, shape her own sound, and present herself to the world exactly as she was, not as a manufactured product. The change transformed her. Davis later said she was a no-brainer, a young woman with rare beauty, stunning talent, and the ability to write every note she played. To him, she wasn't just promising. She was the most gifted young female artist in the industry. Finally free from Columbia's restrictions, Alicia poured herself into her debut album. She wrote songs drawn from her experiences with abandonment, survival, love, and identity. She was no longer fighting to be heard. She was becoming the artist she had always known she could be. On June 5, 2001, Alicia Keys released her debut album, Songs in a Minor, under J Records, and the music industry shifted overnight. The album was a revelation, a 20-year-old classically trained pianist pouring raw emotion into songs about love, heartbreak, and longing, delivered with a timelessness that set her apart from anything on the radio. The lead single, Fallen, became an instant classic, shooting to #1 on the Billboard Hot 100 and remaining there for 6 weeks. With its simple but unforgettable melody, anchored by Alicia's piano and her aching, passionate vocals, Fallen captured the confusing reality of loving someone who hurts you and not being able to walk away. The music video, featuring Alicia in her signature cornrows playing a Yamaha piano, introduced the world to her unmistakable aesthetic and identity. Songs in a Minor debuted at #1 on the Billboard 200 with 236,000 first-week sales, extraordinary for a new artist. It went on to sell more than 12 million copies worldwide, earning multi-platinum certification and cementing Alicia Keys as one of the decade's defining voices. But the impact of the album went beyond numbers. Critics praised its intelligence and musical depth, noting how Alicia moved between classical piano, jazz touches, and contemporary R&B with effortless authenticity. A Woman's Worth became an anthem of dignity and self-value, while her interpretation of Someday We'll All Be Free demonstrated a reverence for musical history paired with her own originality. At the 44th Grammy Awards in 2002, Alicia dominated the night. She won 5 Grammys, including Best New Artist, Song of the Year for Fallen, and Best R&B Album for Songs in a Minor. At just 21 years old, she stood on stage collecting award after award, validating her choice to walk away from Columbia Records and wait for a label that respected her artistry. The massive success of her debut gave Alicia something rare: true creative freedom. Her second album, The Diary of Alicia Keys, released in December 2003, debuted at #1 with 618,000 first-week sales. It produced hits like You Don't Know My Name, with its cinematic storytelling, and If I Ain't Got You, a ballad that quickly became one of her signature songs. The Diary of Alicia Keys sold 8 million copies worldwide and earned her 4 more Grammys, proving that her meteoric rise was no accident. It was the beginning of a legendary career. By the age of 23, Alicia Keys had already sold more than 20 million records, won 9 Grammy Awards, and established herself as one of the most influential artists of her generation. In 2008, at the height of her success, Alicia Keys found herself at the center of a scandal that blindsided her fan base and shook the R&B community. Rumors began spreading about a relationship with producer Swizz Beatz. Rumors made even more explosive by the fact that Swizz was still married to singer Mashonda Tifrere, with whom he shared a young son, Kasim Jr., born in 2006. From the outside, Swizz and Mashonda had seemed like a thriving hip-hop power couple. But behind closed doors, their marriage was already deteriorating, and Alicia Keys was about to be cast as the woman responsible for its collapse. Alicia and Swizz had known each other professionally for years. They worked on the same projects, shared collaborators, and moved in the same industry circles. But in 2008, their relationship shifted from strictly professional to personal. To this day, the exact timeline is murky. Different people give conflicting accounts about when Swizz's marriage truly ended and when his romance with Alicia actually began. What is clear is that by 2009, while Swizz was still legally married, he and Alicia were publicly together, appearing at events and making no attempt to hide their relationship. Complicating matters further, Swizz had fathered a daughter, Nicole, with British singer Jana Sebastian in 2008. To many observers, this suggested that his marriage to Mashonda had been unstable long before Alicia entered the picture. In May 2009, Mashonda broke her silence in dramatic fashion. Taking to Twitter, she publicly expressed her devastation and accused Alicia Keys of helping destroy her marriage. She later revealed she had seen credit card charges that lined up exactly with Alicia's tour dates, the moment she realized, to her shock, that something was going on between them. Mashonda wrote that Alicia had no idea how much pain she had caused, and that the affair had deeply wounded both her and her young son. Her message went viral, dominating blogs and gossip sites. For the first time in her career, Alicia faced intense public backlash. Critics called her a fraud, a woman who sang about empowerment and respect, while allegedly helping break up another woman's home. Alicia chose not to respond publicly. Her silence was interpreted in two ways. Some believed it proved guilt, while others saw it as maturity, a refusal to fuel the spectacle. Swizz Beatz defended her, insisting that he and Mashonda were already separated when he and Alicia became romantically involved. He claimed the timeline had been distorted by the media and that Mashonda was understandably hurt but mistaken about Alicia's role. Later on, Alicia shared her own perspective. She admitted that when she first met Swizz years earlier, she wasn't attracted to him at all, finding him loud, flashy, and too much. Their connection, she said, evolved slowly, and she believed, or perhaps chose to believe, that his marriage was already over by the time their relationship began. Whether that belief was fully honest or simply convenient has remained a subject of debate ever since. Despite the backlash and public scrutiny, Alicia Keys and Swizz Beatz continued forward with their relationship. Swizz's divorce from Mashonda became official in 2010, and on July 31st of that year, he and Alicia married in an intimate ceremony overlooking the Mediterranean Sea. Alicia was already visibly pregnant. Their first child had been conceived before the wedding. On October 14th, 2010, she gave birth to their son, Egypt Daoud Deen, named both for the country where Swizz proposed and for Alicia's deep interest in African history and spirituality. Their family expanded again in December 2014 with the arrival of their second son, Genesis Ali Deen. By then, Alicia had fully embraced her role in a blended family. Swizz brought 3 children from previous relationships, and Alicia became a stepmother to all of them. Children who affectionately referred to her using the Arabic word for mother. Their household was large, complex, and unconventional, but they worked to make it functional. Then something unexpected happened. Years after the scandal, Alicia, Swizz, and Mashonda reached peace. In March 2018, the 3 of them co-authored a book titled Blend: The Secret to Co-Parenting and Creating a Balanced Family. It chronicled their journey from betrayal and heartbreak to forgiveness, respect, and genuine collaboration. The book earned praise for its honesty and emotional maturity. Soon, photos surfaced of all 3 adults vacationing together with their children. a public display of unity that few would have imagined during the height of their feud. But harmony didn't last forever. In 2025, new rumors exploded across social media claiming that Swizz had cheated on Alicia and secretly fathered another child. The accusations spread quickly, fueled by the uncomfortable irony. The man she had once been accused of stealing was now being accused of repeating the same behavior in his marriage to her. Both Alicia and Swizz denied the rumors. Swizz called the story completely false and insisted he was committed to his wife and family. Whether the denials were fully honest or simply protective is still debated, but the scandal made one thing clear. Even after 15 years, the shadow of how their relationship began continued to follow them. In May 2016, Alicia Keys made a personal decision that unexpectedly ignited a global conversation about beauty, authenticity, and the pressures placed on women in the public eye. She announced that she would no longer wear makeup in public. The decision came after a photo shoot in which she barely recognized the heavily made-up woman staring back at her. In an essay, she admitted she was exhausted. Exhausted from hiding, exhausted from trying to appear perfect, exhausted from masking her real self. Going makeup-free, she said, was her way of choosing radical self-acceptance over external expectations. Her first major appearance without makeup came at the 2016 MTV Video Music Awards, where she presented the show with an entirely bare face. Baptized in boundaries, schooled in sin, divided by difference, sexuality, and skin, she recited on stage, reinforcing the message behind her choice. The reaction was immediate and deeply divided. Supporters praised her as brave and groundbreaking, calling her an inspiration for young women pressured to conform to impossible beauty ideals. Social media filled with hashtag no makeup movement posts from fans and celebrities following her lead. But the backlash was just as fierce. Critics argued it was easy for a beautiful, wealthy celebrity to reject makeup when she had access to top-tier skincare, lighting, and resources most women could never afford. Others noted the privilege of making such a statement without risking her career, something ordinary working women could not do. Some accused her of hypocrisy, pointing out that she still had groomed brows, flawless skin maintained by professionals, styled hair, and designer clothes. To them, Alicia wasn't rejecting beauty standards. She was simply redefining them in a way that still required money and labor. Alicia stood firm. She explained that the no-makeup choice was personal, about her relationship with herself, not a condemnation of women who enjoyed wearing cosmetics. Skincare, she said, was not the same as hiding behind makeup. Her message was about self-love, wellness, and the freedom to show up as she truly was. But the controversy revealed something much deeper: the impossible double standards women, especially famous women, face. Criticized for wearing too much makeup, criticized for wearing none. Whatever choice they make becomes a debate, a political statement judged by millions. Alicia's decision, meant to liberate herself, instead exposed the tightrope every woman is forced to walk. Throughout her career, Alicia Keys has built her reputation as a socially conscious artist, someone committed to justice, equality, and using her platform to create meaningful change. In 2003, she co-founded Keep a Child Alive, an organization dedicated to providing medicine and support to children and families affected by HIV and AIDS in Africa and India. Through its annual Black Ball fundraiser, Alicia leveraged her global fame and star-studded connections to raise millions of dollars. She spoke openly about racial justice, women's rights, and humanitarian issues, shaping an image of an artist whose priorities extended far beyond chart positions and awards. But that image has not been without controversy. Critics often pointed out moments where her activism seemed to clash with her choices, the most notable being her decision in March 2024 to host the Women to Women Summit in Diriyah, Saudi Arabia, during International Women's Day. The event was presented as a celebration of empowerment, featuring performances and conversations about women's achievements. Yet it immediately sparked accusations of hypocrisy. Saudi Arabia, despite recent reforms, still maintains strict male guardianship laws, only recently allowed women to drive, and has been widely criticized for severe human rights abuses. Many activists argued that by hosting an empowerment event there, Alicia unintentionally helped legitimize the regime's image, allowing Saudi officials to use her presence as a form of soft power PR. Alicia defended her decision. She argued that change requires engagement, not isolation, and insisted that Saudi women deserve visibility, encouragement, and role models who can inspire them to keep pushing for progress. But her critics saw it differently. To them, accepting Saudi money and performing in a country where women remain restricted was contradictory to everything she claimed to stand for. The incident underscored the complicated moral landscape celebrities must navigate when engaging with authoritarian nations, and raised a difficult question. Does showing up spark change, or does it inadvertently offer support? Alicia Keys has spoken openly about her mental health and her journey toward building a healthier work-life balance, revealing a version of herself the public had rarely seen. In a Fast Company cover story for the magazine's summer issue, the 44-year-old musician and entrepreneur explained how learning to value herself has transformed both her personal life and her career, from running her skincare brand Keys Soul Care to her long-standing partnership with Athleta. "I value myself now, and I think for a lot of years, I didn't," she admitted. Alicia explained that she had finally realized she could only be truly productive if she was well, something she never prioritized in the early years of her career. Reflecting on her past, she described how perfection had once ruled her life, even when it came at the cost of her emotional health. She remembered entering fame at 20, still unsure of who she was. "You're a little bit of what your mama told you. You're a little bit of what the world told you," she said. Under intense public scrutiny, she built a protective wall around herself, one she pretended didn't exist. "You think you're protecting yourself, but you're actually hurting yourself," she explained. For years, she lived by fake it till you make it, but the moment she stopped pretending, she finally felt free. Alicia credits her mother for shaping her early understanding of hard work. Growing up watching her mother juggle long hours, she internalized the idea that relentless effort was the only way to succeed. That drive helped her earn 15 Grammys and multiple #1 singles. But today, Alicia's approach has shifted. As a leader and entrepreneur, she is determined to create a healthier culture, one where teams don't feel pressured to sacrifice their personal lives to keep up. Coming from the music industry, it was expected that you start early, end late, and never have weekends off, she said. Now, she works consciously to build an environment where well-being matters as much as results. Whether in weekly meetings or major business decisions, she emphasizes that professional success means nothing if people and their families aren't well. Alicia also spoke passionately about mental health accessibility, calling the current system unjust. "The fact that mental wellness is a privilege is horrible," she said. "We invest in the physical, but we don't invest in the mental." For her, advocating for mental health is no longer optional. It's essential, both for herself and for the communities she hopes to uplift. Last year, Alicia found herself at the center of an unexpected storm. A strange video surfaced online, one that went viral for all the wrong reasons. In it, she appeared to question the role of DJs, a comment that infuriated many across the music world. The clip spread quickly, especially among hip-hop DJs, before disappearing just as suddenly. According to All Hip Hop, the video was originally posted on their Instagram account, then taken down after Alicia's team contacted them, insisting the clip was fake and created by AI. Some people accepted the explanation, others weren't convinced. Behind the scenes, a different story began circulating. Sources close to the situation claimed that Alicia had recently been involved in a project overseas with the EDM collective Swedish House Mafia. The controversial comment, they said, wasn't directed at hip-hop DJs at all, but at the EDM scene, a world that relies heavily on programmed sets and button-based performances rather than traditional turntablism. The problem? When the clip went viral in the US, it appeared as though Alicia was attacking DJs as a whole. American DJs reacted instantly and angrily. Many believed they were being disrespected, only later hearing the claim that the video was diabolical AI. But the timeline raised eyebrows. Everything fit too neatly together, leading some industry watchers to quietly suggest it was simply a bad strategic move, not artificial intelligence gone rogue. Still, Alicia's team maintained their position. The video wasn't real. Adding to the confusion, Funkmaster Flex posted the same clip a day or two after All Hip Hop, and his version is still up. Today, Alicia Keys is busier than ever. And in 2025, she's returning to one of the stages that helped redefine her as a modern icon. The former voice coach appeared in the Season 27 live finale on Tuesday, May 20th, marking a special comeback to a show she has been tied to for over a decade. Her history with The Voice goes back to Season 7, when she first joined as a battle advisor for Team Pharrell. She claimed her own red chair in Season 11, returned for Season 12, which she won, and later came back again for Season 14. Even after stepping away from coaching, she remained a fan favorite, making a memorable guest appearance in Season 21. But leaving the show didn't mean slowing down. Far from it. Alicia has spent the last few years pouring herself into new creative worlds while raising her family. One of her most ambitious projects arrived on Broadway. Hell's Kitchen, a musical inspired by her own upbringing as the daughter of a single mother in the 1990s New York. The show debuted at the Public Theater in 2023, before transferring to Broadway the next year. Alicia wrote every song, both original pieces and reimagined versions of her biggest hits. Directed by Michael Graff, with a book by Christopher Diaz, the production became a major success, earning 13 Tony nominations. Art has also become a central part of Alicia's life. She and her husband, Swizz Beatz, have assembled an impressive collection of works by prominent black artists. Curated by Kimberly Grant, their Dean collection toured museums across the United States in 2024. To accompany the exhibition, the couple released a massive art book titled Giants, Art from the Dean collection of Swizz Beatz and Alicia Keys. Alicia also continued sharing her personal story, publishing her memoir, More Myself, A Journey, in 2020. Meanwhile, Keys Soul Care, her skincare and lifestyle brand, has become one of her most meaningful ventures. Inspired by her own no-makeup evolution, she launched the line in December 2020. For Alicia, beauty and wellness were inseparable ideas. When you are true to yourself, your authentic voice pours out, she told Forbes. Keys Soul Care became her way of promoting rituals, self-acceptance, and products that nurture the skin, mind, and spirit. From Broadway to art exhibitions to entrepreneurial success, Alicia Keys continues to reinvent herself, still creating, still evolving, and still guided by the authenticity that changed her career forever.